Another new feature of Rebelle 3 that I want to talk about now is going to be the canvas. Now, in order to do that, I want to come over here and I just want to go ahead and set the document to be visible all the way around in my viewport here using the navigator. Then I want to come down here to the canvas. I'm going to click on this. And I want to point out to you that certain of these papers that are going to ship with Rebelle 3 have these little frame icons here in the upper right-hand corner. What this is indicating is that these guys are going to have a rough or decal edge. And what I mean by that is that we have a canvas, and this is going to have a rough edge. We have handmade, which is going to have a decal edge. And then we have the washi, which is a Japanese style of paper. And this is also going to have a rough edge. I particularly like the washi, so I'm going to click that. I'm going to say OK. And what I want you to see is that we end up with this rough, really organic, natural looking edge. Now, this is a transparency effect, and you'll understand what I mean in just one second. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to change my visual settings, watercolor behavior, to the preset of Japan. This is designed for this particular paper. And I'm going to go ahead and paint. And what I want to do is I want to paint all the way out into these transparent edges here. So I'm going to go ahead and paint all the way out like so. And maybe I'll even grab a little bit of red and I'll just paint that in there like so, so these guys diffuse together. And I want you to really understand what's going on here with this. So that's probably good enough. I'm going to go ahead and dry that so that we're not worried about it. Like I said, this is a transparency effect. The document borders are actually all the way out to the edges of where you see this transparency. So if we were to change the paper, and I'll come over here and change that canvas texture to something like the aquarelle and say, okay, what you're going to see is that those brush strokes are preserved all the way out to the edge of the document. So when you're working with these new decal edges or these rough edges, you want to be aware that the painting can go beyond the boundaries of the document. If you change the paper, you will end up being able to see those brush strokes. So that's an important thing to understand. If I come over here and I choose the handmade and I say, okay, you can see how this looks on the handmade. And this has got that nice decal edge. And then if I come over here and I choose the canvas and say, okay, you can see how we have a nice rough edge on the canvas. And likewise, if we paint on any of these guys, we'll still be able to come back and reclaim that if we need to by simply switching to a paper that does not have one of those rough edges. I particularly like the hot press, so I'm going to go ahead and choose that, and you can see those edges are back. Now, again, if you change the paper, you probably want to come over here to your visual settings and change to the relevant setting. So here I would choose hot press because I have a type of paper called hot press. And if I go ahead and make some strokes on that paper, you'll see that I get slightly different results due in part to the paper texture, but also due in part to the fact that we're using these watercolor behavior presets that are relevant for that particular type of effect. So you can see we get a very different type of brush stroke than we got when we were working on the washi. So it's a nice combination between the visual settings and the different types of canvases. And again, if you're going to be using a paper that doesn't have a preset, like say maybe the machine made, for instance, you might want to make your own preset over here for the watercolor behavior in order to maximize the effect that you want from that particular canvas texture. Now that said, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go ahead and clear off this layer so we can move on to a different topic in the next video.